Maxine, your Spiritual Astrologer, and welcome to my podcast. I'm so grateful you're here. This is the very first episode of Your Spiritual Astrologer, and I just feel so emotional and so, again, massively grateful to finally be sharing this with you, because this podcast is an idea, a dream that I've held so close to my heart for so long. So to be able to record this first episode and share it with you and have you listening to it now is just so beautiful and wild to me. So thank you for that. Whether you are someone who's followed my journey for a while now and has learned with me through readings or courses or SAS, I'm just so grateful. SAS is my Spiritual Astrology School program, by the way, if you're wondering. Or maybe you've just totally stumbled across this podcast by some awesome twist of fate, but I'm so grateful for you. I'm so happy you're here. I know you're here for a reason. You found astrology for a reason. I always find people find astrology, or astrology finds us, rather, when we're most in need of coming home to ourselves, connecting with our soul, finding that deeper purpose and meaning of why you're here. And so I'm not going to get too much into that, because that's actually the topic of today's episode. I want to start by answering the question really in depth of what is spiritual astrology. So if you don't know what astrology is or spiritual astrology, there's tons of different schools, tons of different perspectives, techniques astrology can use. And by the end of this episode, you'll know how spiritual astrology can really help you to radically improve your life, as it has for me and, of course, so many of my clients and students now. So I'm really grateful that you're here again, and so happy to be sharing this with you. So first, I want to just give you a brief intro, if you don't know me, into who I am and a bit of what you can expect to learn with me in this podcast. So again, if you don't know me, my name's Maxine. I'm an astrologer, of course, and I'm a teacher, a mentor, and I'm going to leave that for the end. If you want to know my sun, moon, rising, if you know a bit more of astrology, it might be fun for you to listen and guess as you go. So I'll leave that for the end. But I've been doing this since 2018, and I was actually a school teacher before doing this full time. And I'm very much a teacher at heart. I'm a huge nerd. I love to learn. I love to read. I love to break down these complex topics and make them digestible. So especially astrology, which, is just never ending. There's so much you can learn, and it can really give people a headache to learn, but I always like to say, yes, astrology is complex, but it doesn't have to be confusing. There's a method to learning it. And once you've learned it, you've gifted yourself this skill that you'll have for life. So yeah, astrology is a huge passion of mine, and just being able to teach astrology is a dream come true. And I've had the privilege to just meet such amazing, truly beautiful, open-hearted souls. So I'm so grateful. It makes me emotional. But yeah, and so I run an online certificate program twice a year for the fall and spring semesters. That's called Spiritual Astrology School, which I mentioned. And shout out to any SAS students listening. But inside that, you learn everything you need to know to read your chart or others in a really soulful, empowering, impactful way. We go really in depth. And so why I'm sharing that with you is just, that's my hope for you in this podcast, that you will learn this approach, that you can start to apply this to your own charts, even if you're not in my program just yet, even if maybe that's not for you or you're not interested even. I just know when I was starting out in my own astrology learning and spiritual journey, I would have loved a podcast like this to exist. So I always say astrology has been so good to me. So I always feel like sharing about it, and I'm so passionate about helping people to see how you can use your birth chart so much deeper than just looking at your personality traits, but looking at why do you have that, right? Or what are the karmic lessons there? What are you here to heal, to overcome, all of that? So using astrology as this tool for your soul's healing, for your growth, to help you live a life of greater meaning, connection, happiness. That's what you're going to get from this podcast. And when I was going through a dark night of the soul, a tough time in my life, astrology was the single greatest tool that helped me through that time and really learn and grow alongside of it. So again, astrology is it's so beautiful. It's like a map back home to yourself, but a map, a compass. I feel like oftentimes those times where we're really feeling lost, that's when you first book a reading, or that's when you get into astrology. That's when you're listening to this episode, or, it's a time where you're looking for the map, right? And there is a map. It is there. We just haven't been told about it. And astrology, at least, has been my map. And so I want to share that with you. Yeah, so astrology has been a huge catalyst for me, and if you're listening and nodding along, you already know what I mean, or else if not, I would love for that to be something you experience too. So that's a bit about me and the podcast. I also, I want this to be relevant for you, so if you've signed up for my weekly Astromail emails, Astromail emails is hard to say. I usually just say Astromail. But if you are signed up for that, I'll ask you on there from time to time going forward to write in some astrology question you might have or topic requests. So just be on the lookout for that so I can make sure this podcast is really tailored to what you want to learn about, what you want to hear. And it'd even be so fun just to use your charts even as examples from time to time. So yeah, more to come on that, but make sure if you're not already signed up for that, it's totally free. Just sign up below with your email. And one last thing before I get into today's episode topic. So if you want to find out how to learn more with me after this, to book a reading, or sign up for the next round of Spiritual Astrology School, I'll leave that linked in the show notes for you. And you'll also see a link to download my free astrology basics cheat sheet. So if you're new to all this, I recommend starting there. Okay, so what is spiritual astrology? Why do I practice that? How can it help you? How does it differ? Let's get into it. So I want to actually start by just backing it up and beginning at the beginning. So what actually is astrology? And astrology is so misunderstood, and I know this from all the times I've been asked, what do you do for work? And most people think it's just your sun sign, right? If they know what astrology is at all. And you may have thought that too at one time, right? I did as well. I thought, oh, okay, this is my sun sign. And that view of astrology is so limiting because it almost makes it feel like you only are one of these 12 zodiac types, right? Quote unquote. But actually, it's so much more than that. And you actually have a moon sign, a rising sign, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Chiron, the lunar nodes. There's so much more, okay? And each of those fall into a different sign, house, degree, aspects. And so you have an entire birth chart, not just a sun sign. And that is so intricate. There are billions of combinations, and your birth chart is unique to you. So astrology is a tool, and it can be used for a lot of different things. Oftentimes, it's used as this tool for self-understanding, that self-awareness. But, you have to keep in mind astrology has been around for thousands of years. It has a rich history. So you can use astrology to improve your health, to predict the stock market, to deepen your relationships, to find out where to move, to track your fertility, choose a wedding date, assist in your healing. I could honestly keep going. There's so much. I always say if you have a question, astrology has an answer for you. So that's what's so cool about astrology is you can just keep learning and learning and learning. And when I first started out learning astrology, I was working a 9-to-5, which I really did not enjoy. And yeah, I would wake up at 5 a.m. before work every day to study, and I still study. I was talking to someone on a reading the other day, and yeah, I was just sharing, yeah, I still study. I don't wake up at 5 a.m. because luckily now I work for myself and have my own schedule, but I do study and I read astrology books, and I'll take a solid 2 hours of my day to do that every day. So yeah, it's so important to continue learning with astrology and to expand your horizons and perspectives as you're listening to this. So, pat on the back for you. but yeah, so what I teach, so that's astrology, right? So understanding that as above, so below. What's going on in the cosmos, the planets, is affecting us in some way, or rather it's mirroring, I should say, what's happening. So it's not like things are happening to you, but it's observing and studying how what's happening up there is influencing us down here on Earth. Okay, so what I practice and what I teach is spiritual astrology. So basically this goes from using astrology for self-understanding and deepens it to being, using astrology for soul understanding. For understanding, that idea, you are a spiritual being, an infinite spiritual being having a human experience, having this temporary human experience, right? Like you're here on Earth School, but you are a soul. And most people get that backwards. So you weren't born at random. And you actually decided before coming down to Earth School. Imagine, you wanted to come to Earth. You wanted to have this human experience. You wanted to learn and to grow and evolve and enjoy life and have those relationships. And we forget that. But that's where spiritual astrology comes in. It gives you back that map and compass. It allows you to lead the life your soul intended, essentially. And so from this spiritual perspective, you chose your birth chart. Your soul decided to be born in the exact date, your birthday, right? But also the place you were born, the time of your birth. That's actually super important in astrology, right? Because it really changes your rising sign, your house systems. But basically, your soul decided that's the exact configuration of planets I need to, imagine it's like imprinted within you to accomplish all that you set out here to do. So in that sense, that's what a birth chart is, a screenshot of the sky above you when you took your first breath of life, as above, so below. But you have that energy imprinted within you. You truly have within you all you need. But it's not left up to fate. You still have free will. So from the spiritual perspective, it's not like things happen to you, okay? No. Your ability to co-create with the universe is what you want to focus on. And so you're in the driver's seat of your life. You might have the map, but it's up to you if you're going to use it or not. If you're going to take the high road or the low road, as I like to say, because every sign has the shadows and the strengths, right? And we're all human. Sometimes we act out the shadows, but we can act out the highest potential of our charts, of our birth charts. So, some people, just to go with that map metaphor, if your birth chart is this map to your soul, some people go their whole life and they don't even know that there is a map. Or, they might be perfectly okay with not knowing. But spiritual astrology is for those souls who are looking for answers, for meaning, for fulfillment. Maybe I'm willing actually to bet that that's, if you're listening, you might resonate with that. Deep down that there's so much more to life and that you are here with purpose. You have those gifts for a reason, those desires and dreams. It's not random. And those struggles and setbacks, even those challenges, it's not for nothing. There's a lesson, there's healing to be found. So if you're looking for it, if you're ready for that. So finding the deeper soul intention is what spiritual astrology can give you. It answers questions like, who are you? Why are you here? What lessons is your soul learning? What karmic patterns are you unlearning? What are your relationships here to teach you? Or what are you ready to heal, to share with the world? what will bring your soul fulfillment and happiness. Because, at the end of the day, you're not here at random, as I shared. So even those personality traits you have, think of that. Like, think of it all as a vehicle for your soul's growth and purpose. In a birth chart reading, I'm not just looking at your personality traits, but understanding the bigger picture of why you are the way that you are. Understanding there's a soul intention there. Why did your soul choose to have that placement, right? So for example, maybe you have a Scorpio moon, like I do. If you've guessed it this far, let me know. But yeah, if you have that, yes, you have big emotions, and you may have heard that, right? But as I like to say, no part of your chart is there just to annoy you. So get curious, right? So yes, that's true. With a Scorpio moon, I have big emotions. And if that's you, you might have big emotions. And also, why do you have those? Maybe it's because you have a great psychic sensitivity, right? So picking up on what others miss and feeling others' emotions if you're not careful with boundaries. So you have a soul desire with that as well, a Scorpio moon, to go below the surface, get into the subconscious, to face your fears head on, to assist others in their healing and transformation, and to confront their emotions, right? Their big feelings. So you can't ignore feelings and emotions if you have a Scorpio moon, and that is what helps you to dig deeper. That's part of your genius. So if you just say Scorpio moons have big emotions, you're not wrong, but in my opinion, it just doesn't get to the good stuff, right? So you have to ask yourself why. Why do I have my sun sign here? Why is my moon in this house? Why is, my rising sign this? Or what is this aspect telling me, or degree? So all of that. And likewise, in a transit reading, it's not like, from a spiritual perspective, you're not looking in a crystal ball. You're not saying this will happen to you, right? That's incredibly limiting. And I've heard horrible stories of that. It's not fatalistic, right? That's not true, because you have free will. And that is such a gift that you've been given. Transits are not about, as I see it, it's not about what will happen to you, but where you're going to be supported at any given time, and where you're going to also be challenged at any given time. So it's about knowing your divine timing, as I like to say, and that's how I teach it. So that empowers you to co-create deliberately for greater fulfillment, greater connection, greater happiness, greater, whatever your goals are. And so also in this podcast, you'll hear me talk about things like past lives, karma, early life conditioning, but it's all grounded in the now. Astrology can help you make peace with the past so that you can move forward into your destiny, and you can have that awareness, that wisdom. And, it's not about getting lost in the past. It's not about looking to past lives to create excuses. It's not about blaming your birth chart. No, it's taking responsibility of where you're at now. And it's about facing your fears and healing and acceptance and unshaming a lot of those shadows that you have in your chart, and everyone does, and feeling more empowered. So you don't want to miss out on what life has to offer you, this experience, this incarnation. Like, why are you here? That's what spiritual astrology really helps you to answer. And if you're a person who asks those big questions, then, this is something that you sounds pretty aligned to you, So yeah, I just wanted to share that because, again, spiritual astrology can be an incredible tool for your soul's healing and growth. It's a map and a compass for your soul's journey here. It's like, you just have to know and learn how to use this tool in astrology. And when you do, when you know how to read your birth chart, when you understand your transits, your progressions, your solar returns, all of this stuff, you have those skills for life. You have that awareness of understanding where you're being supported, where you're being challenged, where your shadows are, what lessons do you have, how do you relate to that person, and why. you understand why you're here and why you are the way you are. And that just brings so much acceptance. It's so healing. And so, yeah, just understanding that astrology, spiritual astrology, can really allow you to have this tool for self-care or soul care, as I like to say, because you're able to then understand your soul and nourish yourself at a deep level so that you can heal, so that you can grow and evolve and, really enjoy life and just allow yourself to be all you're here to become and not miss out on what's meant for you. So if this episode was helpful for you, make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss out on any episodes. And if you really enjoyed this episode, feel free to reach out to me on Instagram to let me know. I love hearing from you. And I know sometimes people say that and don't mean it, but I really, really do mean it. It might take me a little bit to respond back, but when I read it, it will make my day. So feel free to reach out. My Instagram is Maxine Luthia, so MaxineLuzia. And again, if you want to find out how to learn more with me, book a reading, or maybe sign up for Spiritual Astrology School, I'll leave all that linked in the show notes for you. I also have that free guide for you, and you can sign up for my Astro Mail. And if you don't know, Spiritual Astrology School, just to give you a little more info on that, it is your one-stop shop, really, to learn everything you need to know to read charts in an empowering, impactful, and soulful way. So you learn it all from mastering a spiritual approach to astrology essentials to finding, to finally understanding how to blend it all together and read birth charts and transit charts like a pro, to uncovering other astrology gems like aspect configurations, retrogrades, returns, Chiron, goddess asteroids, solar returns, progressions, and more. I really get into some really juicy stuff. And I get some students who want to just, they want to feel confident reading charts for others. They're at that level in their knowledge where they know the stuff, but they really want to take it deeper and learn a more soul-centered perspective, how to do that. And also I get some students who just want to learn this for themselves, for their own, to have this skill for life, as I mentioned earlier. So if that sounds like a fit for you, if you want to learn the language of astrology, I'd love to have you join in the fall semester. Doors open early August, and I'll add a link below to the waitlist so you don't miss out on that. But yeah, be on the lookout for a big early bird discount, and we start September 1st. So hopefully, if that is something you're interested in, if you like this episode, definitely check that out. And of course, if you have any questions about SAS, feel free to reach out to me to make sure it's a good fit for you. You can send me a message on Instagram or an email, and I'd be happy to help you with that. And actually, one last thing, I almost forgot. I knew I was forgetting something. But if you were wondering what my sun, moon, rising are, I said I'd let you know at the end. And I guess I already shared my moon sign with you. But if you wanted to pause quick to write down your guess, feel free to. But yeah, I'm about to give it away. So I have a Taurus sun, Scorpio moon, and Gemini rising. Let me know what you guessed versus what my big three are. I'd love to know what gave it away if you guessed one, or maybe if you thought of a totally different zodiac sign. Let me know what that one was. I'd be so curious. And of course, let me know how you liked the episode. But yeah, that is it. That's all I have for you for this first episode. Thank you so much for listening, for being part of this journey with me. And I have so many great episodes in the works, so make sure, again, you're subscribed. You won't miss out on those. And yeah, I look forward to sharing so much more astrology with you. So thank you so much for being here, and hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye.